All right, good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing fantastic. Let's take a look and see what is going on with Bitcoin for the day. So, taking a look at our daily candle close, we had another huge candle above the daily 200 MA, basically closing at about 72,997 with our high of 73,388. Up another 5.33%, about $3,695. So another huge move for Bitcoin. Now with this next daily candle, we are trading up first. I don't believe we have a wick to the downside. We do actually. We have a wick, but it is a $10, very tiny, minuscule wick. You can kind of see it right there a little bit. But it's only a $10 low. So we did mostly trade up first. Our high has been 73,969. And like I told you guys, at least as it shows right now, 73,676 is showing as some sort of resistance. Not that it's going to be strong resistance, but I did think that we were probably going to have some sort of issue right here. We are basically banging our heads against it right now, trying to surpass it. But it's going to be interesting to see if we can surpass it and start to even get up into the 75-ish range. Taking a look at your 12-hour, obviously, you're above the 200 now. You're about to get that 21 cross. The biggest thing, guys, is obviously, as we know, we're way overextended. I mean, you're about $8,000 away from your 21 MA on the 12-hour. You're a little bit closer. I guess not. You're about the same with the 10-hour. The 8-hour, you're a tiny bit closer. A 6-hour, you're a tad bit closer. 4-hour, you're starting to get there around $6,000 away. But all of your bigger time frames, like your 6-hour and beyond, are very overextended from its 21 MA. So just kind of keep that in mind. The biggest thing, though, is that we are now above and closing candles above the daily 200 MA. And what I will tell you guys is, if we get that golden cross basically above the 200 MA, right, the 21 crossing above the 200 MA, myself, I am probably going to say that there's a very good potential, that the bull market is back. That's kind of a main indicator for me, mainly because of one of my mentors, right? Samuel Price. I take his word for, basically I've back tested this as well, but you can take a look and see when we've gotten above the 200 MA and had that golden cross, that usually signifies some sort of bottom. So there is a good chance that if we get that 21 crossing above the 200, which it's very close, you're a couple $1,000s away from it. If we get that cross and price is able to consolidate above here, there's a good chance that the bottom is in and we are now going to start slowly entering the bull market once again. Okay. That being said, let's take a look at some of the smaller time frames here. Again, guys, I would basically be watching, the 73,676 level. That's going to prove crucial as a support and resistance line. 75,879 is going to be your next level, followed by 77,421. And if you get above 77,421 here, essentially you can then target around 82,000. That's going to be your next target, 82 to 83,000. So somewhere up here taking out this double top, okay? And we'll leave that up there. Then if that gets broken, basically we then have to take a look at, pulling a fib from somewhere up here, from one of these impulses. Probably this one would be next, and let me actually pull that because I am curious. So if I were to pull a fib from this impulse right around 95,700 down, let me see if I can reach it all the way down here. So 87,457 would basically be your next one here. And then if I were to pull it from this impulse, you're at 84,209. So just some additional levels to keep in mind, guys, in case we can get there sooner rather than later. Obviously, I don't know where or how far price is going to keep moving upwards. It is in a very strong uptrend right now. So, if we do get into the 80s, these are some additional levels to watch right here. A very important level that's going to be used as strong resistance is going to be 87,624, which is going to be your yearly open. So right around where this bearish 786 is right here up here, that's going to be used as a strong resistance level if we were to get that high up for whatever reason. So just keep that level in mind. That's going to be a very important level. But as far as, for right now goes, I am going to be targeting 74 to 75,000 for the time being, seeing if we can basically get up there, possibly get rejected from there for now. But again, guys, when it comes to, these uptrends, you got to think that most people are basically trying to catch the top and trying to keep shorting, right? And it's just allowing for price to keep moving up because there's more liquidity that just keeps building up because everybody's trying to chase the top. They're not believing that, the bottom is in, right? And so that's what usually happens in the bull market as well, is that people just keep shorting the top, shorting the top, shorting the top, instead of going with the trend, right? You either do one of two things when it comes to price action like this, especially when it's overextended. You can take the risk of longing, right, and trying to catch, a little bit of a move, knowing that there could be a blow off top at any moment and you can just basically get pounced on by the bears. The other thing is that you just kind of sit on the sidelines and wait. You wait for some sort of retracement. You wait for some sort of consolidation like what we saw here, and that allows you to get in sync with price. So one of the two things usually is fairly acceptable. It's just you don't want to short it, right? Because shorting is going against the trend and you don't know how high up this is going to go. All right, that being said, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at our liquidity, see what's happening there. I'm going to dive into the 4 hour and see kind of where we are at. So when it comes to the 4 hour, like we talked about, you don't have any more 25x, right? You don't have any more 10x up until you start getting into 76,000. You got to check off the 5x now. And the 5x is telling you that, now you're starting to enter this pool of liquidity, right? So, basically the next level that you could possibly get rejected off of would be 74,700-ish around this yellow area. And if you can get above that, you're going to be testing probably 76,000. That's what it looks like. So my next targets are going to be 74,700 and then 76,000 basically if we were to get above there. That obviously is going to be to the upside, and then to the downside, thankfully you're not really building up any 25 or 10x liquidity just yet to the downside. But, there's going to come a point where some of this liquidity is going to at least dry up, where you're going to have to consolidate, like I've been saying, or you're going to have to move downward to basically trigger more shorts, okay? Let's take a look at the 1 hour. So the 1 hour... All right. So the 1 hour is getting close to this red line, which is around 74,300-ish, right? Around where that yellow area is that we saw on the 4 hour. That's going to be my next target, all of this red liquidity, and then if we can get above that, honestly, guys, you really don't have anything until about 76,000, like we talked about. So it really has a choice of whether or not how aggressive it wants to be, right? If it can stop at 74,700, consolidate, drop, or if it's going to stay bullish, it can get up to 76,000 and just keep climbing. It's going to really depend on how bullish we're going to see this asset be. And this could be, a first time for Bitcoin, as far as having a very straight up parabolic move that's violent, right? We don't know what's going to happen here. And obviously, when it comes to this bear market, there's been a lot of people that have, been shorting and making a ton of money. And it could basically be going against them now. We know that a lot of shorts got liquidated within the past few days. So there's a potential now that the bulls are in control, and it's just going to wreck all of these people that are trying to short this market. One interesting thing I will point out is that now, not only do you have the 4 hour bullish, but now you also have the daily bullish. And we haven't really, seen the daily at a 3 for a long time. We saw it at a 2 back here in August 12th and August 13th, but it never has been at a 3 for quite some time. So the fact that the daily on the trend diff is at a 3 in an extremely bullish environment kind of gives us a sign that there's a potential, obviously, that the trend has changed in the direction of the bulls. But not just that, there's a potential that we are starting to bottom out, of course. So just kind of keep that in mind. Taking a look at your 15-minute, you're starting to break out even now, more to the upside. So, first level to test is going to be 74,000, 74.2-ish area. But like I said, guys, if you break above that, you don't really have anything stopping you until 76,000. So it can just go up in a straight line. Even though we're overextended, it's not going to matter. It can literally just start getting extremely aggressive when it comes to, the bullishness in the air, right? Okay, as far as to the downside goes, if we do get a retracement at any time, I am going to be targeting probably around the 71, between 72 and 71K-ish area for right now. If we lose that, you basically can drop down into the 70,800-ish area, and even potentially all the way down into the 60s again. So it's all going to depend on how bearish it would want to get, or basically have a slight trend down before it breaks up. You have to expect that sooner rather than later now. So I am expecting a trend down at some point, maybe over the weekend. But it's really going to depend on what price action wants to do. And right now, it's going against a lot of the TA and fundamentals that even I've learned. Right, it's not following the 21 at all. It's just kind of basically blowing through all these different resistance levels. So very interesting and fun price action to watch. Taking a look at your order book, you can see that we do have an order at 74,000 that's being used as resistance as of right now. We did tap it with this candle right here, but there's a potential that this will be used as resistance, at least for right now, until it breaks. And if it does break, you can see that we don't have another one until 75,000, which is right here. You do have one order to the downside nearby around 73,200, so it can come down here and visit if it wants to, and potentially even move down even lower than that. You can see there's multiple orders stacking up all the way down, leading down to 69,500. So, low 70,000-ish range to 69.5 would be some target areas for a bullish 786 retracement, or what we like to call a slight trend down before we break up again. All right, let's take a real quick look at the simple map, see what's happening there. So taking a look at the simple map, you can see how much liquidity is starting to build up to the downside, how much is still available to the upside for the bulls to take. Honestly, to the downside, you have a lot of support zones now. So, your first one's going to be around 73,440. Your next one's going to be within the range of 72,750 to 72,870. And then your next one would be around 72,210, followed by 71,490. So there's a lot of support, basically support zones within the 71 to 72 range, right? Now, taking a look at your move to the upside, you can see that there is, a pretty decent order at 74,000 to take out. If you're able to get above there, you got another one around 74,190, and then you have your final one at 74,310. Before you can literally almost just roll through all this liquidity to the downside up to about 76,000, what we talked about on the chart. Taking a look at your swing time frames, it'll probably show a very similar scenario, but let's take a look anyway, just to make sure. Yeah, so support lines to the bottom, 73,440, 73,320. You lose that, you get to about 72,750 as your next support line, then to about 72,180, and then to about 71,490 to 71,370, somewhere around here. And then to the upside, you got to get above 74,070, then 74,190-ish area, and then finally 74,310 before you can get that, basically that really good follow through all the way to about 76,000. All right, guys, that being said, that is what I have for you for today. I hope you all had a wonderful trading day. Remember not to chase, not to try not to short the top if you can. I know it's tempting, but it can definitely go against you right now, especially the way that trend has been. But I hope you guys are having safe trading days and really good trading days. And I will talk to you all again in the morning. Take care.